A Time to Kill by John Grisham. In the racially charged U.S. South, two white men brutally attack, rape, and almost kill a 10-year-old black girl. When Carl Lee Haley, the girl's father, finds out about all of this, he knows that the justice system won't do justice for his girl, so he decides he's going to take matters into his own hands. He hides in a janitor's closet, and while they're being escorted through the courthouse, he jumps out with his gun, shoots and kills both of them, and then he runs off. After he's arrested, he turns to a young lawyer, Jake Brigance, to take his case and help him out of his legal trouble. This is John Grisham's first novel. He wrote it when he was in his young 30s, I think, and it was based on a case that he overheard, and he kind of played with the idea in his mind, like, when are people justified in murder and how does the law interact with that? He actually didn't have any writing aspirations before that, which is really impressive because this book does not read like a first crack at a novel. So good for him. And since then, he's turned this sort of legal thriller into his bread and butter, his formula that he can do over and over again with various variations. And he's been quite successful at it. Side note, I always thought thriller is a bit of a stretch for a John Grisham novel because it's pretty slow paced. I think of thriller as an immediate suspense, immediate danger. Your heart is racing as you're reading it. You're worried that the main characters' lives are in danger. Something where you have a more visceral account of the minute-by-minute situation. John Grisham novels are very spread out. Like, here's a conversation between two people, and a couple days later, here's another conversation between two people. So, I guess, call it a thriller if you want, but meh. But this is the charm of a John Grisham book. He knows the law because he was a lawyer, and so he is happy to take you through all the little steps that the average non-lawyer has no clue about, but that are fascinating. I was genuinely interested in reading this book, the different steps that a prosecutor will go through, that a defendant will go through to get to the eventual trial, and all the dramatic moments that make us enjoy these legal thrillers. I think this is both a good and a bad thing, because overall it's a good thing. I like the realism that comes about by giving us the legal framework for everything, but it can also be a bad thing because there's not much immediacy in like the prosecutor having some conversation about a change of venue, or Jake Brigance talking to Carl Lee about raising money to find a psychiatrist. Like, they are all interwoven with the plots, but I found they're not all strictly necessary, these side points about the legal landscape of the situation. Generally speaking, with this book, I found that if I were in the middle of it and I skipped like 10 pages ahead, I wouldn't really miss a beat. Like, okay, they had some legal thing, then they figured it out, and then we're moving on to the rest of it. The other thing that goes in this book's favor, that I think John Grisham does amazingly well in this and all of his books, is capturing the culture of the South. He grew up in the South, he knew the South, and so he's good at creating the way people talk, the way people think. I have no idea if it's accurate, but it does present an engaging world for the reader to interact with. So in this book, you have the magic of John Grisham. You have his legal expertise, his Southern expertise coming together to create a really well-done world where you're interested to see what's going to happen next. One more thought on this whole legal thriller thing. It does come to an exciting conclusion in a sense, because you have members of the Klan marching through the streets, you have the courtroom drama playing up, and it really is getting exciting to the end, but I don't feel like he really capitalized on it in a lot of ways. Towards the end, there's one of the main characters that's kidnapped by the Klan and beaten and almost killed, and you think that is a element of suspense. So that's a thriller material, but he's so brief about the details, it almost doesn't feel like it really happened. It's so brief, and then the story just kind of moves on. I almost wonder, like, what was the point of having the kidnapping if you're not going to capitalize on the drama of that situation? Now about the movie. I have to bring up the movie because I don't say this very often, but the movie was definitely better than the book. The movie's take on this story was, let's have Jake Brigance be the main character, and he is a young lawyer with principles in a really hard situation, and there will be all these things that are trying to force him to compromise on his principles, whether it's his marriage, his legal license, his sense of honor, his sense of right and wrong. All these things are going to be attacking him, and it's a story of him just holding strong to those values and coming out triumphant in the end. And the movie focuses on that completely and cuts out everything else. The book doesn't have that level of focus. It's more all over the place, a lot of legal filler. So the movie is better because it is a distillation of what I picture the book being more about. Also, in the movie you have more sympathetic characters. I think it's well structured, better structured than the book. And you have the acting performances. It is an all-star cast, lots of great performances. The directing's good, like just everything that the movie chose to do in the adaptation of this book was a step up. The only reason I could think to read the book instead of the movie is if you liked the movie but you wanted to hear more about the legal scaffolding of the situation. Now, spoiler alert, I've got to talk about the ending because as much as I liked the book and the movie, I did not like the ending. That ending made no sense to me, just from a logical perspective of what should happen to a vigilante who murders two people. It is absolutely absurd that he gets off in the end because he's not guilty by reason of insanity. But he obviously knew what he was doing. He premeditated, he planned it, he told Jake Brigance that this is what he was going to do. It's absurd on the face of it. And apparently there's no one in this book who recognizes that. It's like you have the group of people who are extremely racist against black people, so they want him to be found guilty so they could execute him. And then you have the people who are sympathetic to what happened to his daughter, and so he should be let go. Like, I feel like there was no one in the middle that was on my side, that it was terrible what happened to him, but that doesn't mean you can just take the law into your own hands. So I don't know why I was presented with this thinking that him being found not guilty was like this moment of victory. Like, this is terrible. Like, why would we be applauding this? And actually, it's even worse than that because of the race element that's involved. The reason that we're supposed to see this as a victory is because the races of the defendant and of the victims. And any situation where you reverse races or change the races and you have a different conclusion about what the outcome should be, you've got a problem. So my big beef with the book and the movie is they seem oblivious to the point, and it is really annoying to me. To rub salt on this wound, John Grisham did a sequel to this book where you have Jake Brigance back in the same town, and he's doing another case where it's another instance of a possibly justified killing, and Jake Brigance is talking to Judge Noose, which is the same judge in this case, and Judge Noose says, you can't just let him get away, he murdered someone. And I thought, exactly, this is exactly what you did in The Time to Kill. You let Carl Lee Haley off the hook. That's exactly what happened. Again, the book is completely oblivious to that. By the way, it would have made a lot more sense if in that book the murderer got away than Carl Lee getting away. This one is just silly. And since I'm already complaining about Carl Lee Haley, I didn't like him in the book as a character because he does this thing where he murders these two guys in cold blood, and he just seems annoyed at the whole justice system. Like, I just need to talk to my lawyer and he should be able to get me off because I did the right thing, and what's this? I need to pay money for a psychiatrist? This is ridiculous. I have to raise my family. Like, if you really think that murdering these people who did this to your daughter is justice, you have to be willing to accept the legal consequences. The legal system should not reward vigilante justice, and it certainly shouldn't care about what color your skin is. Anyway, despite my hatred for the ending, I really enjoyed both the book and the movie. I can see why some people really like John Grisham. Like, he's good at just putting these interesting cases together to get you to think and walk you through how the process works. So I appreciated it for that. So I'm going to give this book 3.5 stars.